Welcome back, Exile. In today's video I want to showcase my new and improved version of my last league's Pyro ward build. As you could probably tell from the intro sequence, it's less flashy, but it makes up for it in other areas. What you're looking at here is a 2 screens wide obliterating powerhouse. This version is tankier than the last one and more efficient. It is still a work in progress, however, my character is currently halfway to level 95, which I figured is at a good enough point to showcase the build. Same as before, this Iron Ward build focuses on Ignite and fuels itself by igniting enemies. This is possible with a combination of these 3 unique items: Fireflower, Birth of Fury and the Rat Cage. This time around I opted for Chronomancer, who received a pretty substantial defensive buff in 0.5. Furthermore, we got improvements on the tree, which allowed me to squeeze this build a little more. Overall, the build isn't very expensive. It can be done with a handful of divines, though this creeps up in cost as you invest into various upgrades. I have done most content with it so far, and I'm happy with where it's at. I'm gonna circle back to the patch notes here real quick, because there's something you should know. I actually thought the build was dead due to the changes to the Blackflame ring, but turns out it still works with Avatar of Fire. I am unsure why that is, but this tracks with other inconsistencies, such as the reworked blistering bond ring not working with Avatar of Fire, even though it should. I say inconsistencies because, and here comes a perhaps fairly big revelation to you, if we go back and take a look at Iron Ward and its description, it says, while active, stores a percentage of the physical damage that is prevented by your armor or other sources of damage reduction. This isn't actually entirely true. If we take a closer look at the skill gem, it says that it stores mitigated physical damage. The description doesn't match what the gem says. Why is this so important? Because the gem actually tracks all forms of damage mitigation for physical damage, including the less damage taken modifier on the newly added Chronomancer passive Phased Form. I learned about the less damage taken thing before the patch notes dropped, and it's absolutely massive for Iron Ward specifically. I tested this and can confirm that it works. Credit to a random redditor who got me to investigate. That said, what does this mean for the build? Well, it means we don't have to be so afraid of armor break for one, and we can sacrifice some of it to get access to ward. I also noticed that the delayed hit from the passive can be mitigated again. Since this build uses self-damage, this is less relevant to us, but I figured it couldn't hurt to mention. Anyway, I decided to drop the flashy-looking living bomb explosions in favor of more defense. I'm fairly limited in how much I can grab here, as we do need high flammability for consistent ignites. I opted to spec into some damage taken from mana before life, more recoup and more attributes so that we can get more ward from gear. To offset some of the damage lost, I'm using several jewels with ignite scaling. Furthermore, I invested a tiny bit into presence area of effect to make better use of the slow aura provided by the apex of the moment, Chronomancer passive, as well as withering and overwhelming presence. Since I have access to more spirit now, I also opted to use Time of Need for curse removal. Speaking of defenses, every piece of gear has armor or physical damage reduction where possible. Despite being vulnerable to fire damage due to the Rat Cage body armor, the build has fairly decent mitigation against physical damage. All of this, coupled with the Chronomancer passive, means we can tank a few nasty hits. I tried to showcase this in the intro sequence with tier 15 and tier 16 maps. I have died 10 times so far, about half of which were at the early stages of the build, when I was still tweaking things and died to self-damage. And I'm not running easy maps. In the end, it's bursts of fire damage that kill me, for example from Arbiter of Ash. Speaking of maps, you should thus avoid any maps with extra fire damage. Pretty much everything else is fair game. Less recovery isn't much of an issue once you've got your Recoup all set up, because you'll have plenty. And the only other really annoying mod is increased monster ailment threshold. This makes it a lot more difficult to get Ignite started, and it can potentially break the map boss in the earlier stages of the build. So, let's talk about passives and leveling. I'm not sure what to recommend for leveling, but I did level with Facebreaker and Iron Ward because there's a bunch of fizz nodes in the area and I needed to pick up strength anyway. Simply spec out of those once you're ready to switch to the setup at level 52, when you can finally equip Fireflower. As for other passives, you should primarily focus on some recovery and making your way down to Avatar of Fire. Then you will want to pick up flammability and damage nodes ASAP so that you can actually ignite enemies later on. Now, let's take a quick look at other important things. The Hollow Mask received a very interesting buff this patch, namely it now spawns remnants nearby, which you can pick up to recover flask and charm charges. To be honest with you, I think that's a great change. I've had basically no issues sustaining my charges. Quick side note, the purple ones recover life flasks, the yellow ones mana, and the blue ones recover charms. Another important thing to talk about is Ignite scaling, or more specifically, why I don't focus on Ignite DPS but total damage. You see, Wildfire is a really useful gem for any type of content that keeps spawning monsters. Anything that spawns will be ignited and refuel your Iron Ward, which can then proc again to lay down another floor fire, and it just keeps going and going. This is absolutely essential for Abyss, Breach, Ritual and the like. And in order for that to work, you need to have fairly long ignites. The Blackflame ring is the best in slot item for Ignite, but it comes with the caveat that it reduces Ignite duration. You have to offset this to get usable Ignites. Besides, Iron Ward needs time to charge, so having longer lasting Ignites is crucial to keep up your DPS on bosses. I simply swap in Concentrated Area for bosses that don't have adds. Side note, the new Scouring Flame support is better than Searing Flame 2, as Iron Ward has no cost, thus reaps all the benefits from it. And no, you cannot stack these because they belong to the same category. Sad face. And to be perfectly honest with you, despite this not being a meta one-shot build, I've had zero trouble with any of the harder content I have done. The DPS is high enough for the build to be very comfortable to play for pretty much anything you can throw at it. One last thing I should probably mention, you need a source of physical damage prevented, recouped as life. You can find this as a mod on Heart of the Well or on the Made to Last passive. A percentage of the damage we prevent is recovered as life over time, and believe you me, this ends up being stronger than the recoup from damage taken. That said, there are plenty of upgrade paths left, for example a +1 to skills amulet, 2-socket gloves with ailment damage rune, a better wand, better jewels, divining the rolls, level 100, etc. The footage you see in this video is mostly in-progress footage that does not include later optimizations to the build. Anyway, I think that pretty much covers everything. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below. And if you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Cheers!